Swivl Sessions, interviews with field service entrepreneurs. Get insights and strategies from those who took the leap and risked it all to start their own home service companies. Swivl loves those owners who give more than they take, and they don't come any better than the one we had on this last session. Ryan Hanson with True Plumbing. Rob, what do you got?
Yeah, so Ryan, what a great story. A true entrepreneur, kind of starts off as a ski bum and, taking people on treks across the U.S. and then decides to jump into plumbing because of a conversation at Waffle House, which
No
is,
better place.
as I said, no better place to make a big decision. But since then has really kind of checked all the boxes on what I think a good, if not great, entrepreneur is. He's building his business on integrity and honesty, and he's building a culture that attracts not only customers but employees. So he's grown significantly in the past 10 years, and I think that's going to continue.
Ryan really does encompass what it means to run a business that's just all about the people. It's the people that he services, the people that are on his team. I mean, you go back to those core values. Accountability, lasting relationships, communication, generosity, growth mindset. I mean, there's not a fault with one of those. I also really liked his take on gratitude and how good things happen when you do the right thing. And he's certainly doing the right thing with True Plumbing.
Things are happening. Yep.
Absolutely. So Ryan Hanson, True Plumbing.
Great
show. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Swivl Sessions, where we dive into the world of field service entrepreneurship. Now, before we get into today's interview, let's introduce the host you'll be hearing from. First is Edgar, whose short roasts require bathroom breaks. But by the time he finally gets to the punchline, Tyson's beard's grown an extra inch and my coffee needs reheating. Edgar.
My roasts are not that long. Come on.
Yes, they are.
Hey, Ryan, glad you're here. I'd like you to meet John Tyson. He's Swivl's trusted customer service guru by day, mildly terrified clown avoider by night. While he can handle the toughest clients without breaking a sweat, one glimpse of a red nose and a rainbow wig has him sprinting like he's late for his weekly Panda Express lunch special. Meet Tyson.
Let's be honest, clowns freak everybody out, okay? Clowns are just bad news. All right, and last but not least, we've got our fearless leader, Rob, and we've been friends for a while. I could bring up all these gems that he's given us, but the best was when he was extolling the virtues of AI, and he asked AI a question about the state-winning football team that he played on, and it correctly gave the name of the high school that Rob was a big part of. And then he asked, well, who was the quarterback? And it correctly gave the quarterback. And then Rob goes, well, who played defensive end? And it gave the name of Rob's backup. And he asked it again, and then it gave the name of the 8th grader behind the backup. And then he goes, did Rob Heller play on this team? And they brought up a Heller from 1890 that played for Marist. So that's Rob for you.
Okay, kind of true, actually. But I thought I had a claim to fame, but apparently I don't.
I remember it well.
Maybe someone scrubbed my history from the interwebs.
From AI.
That's what it is. All right, let's get to the good stuff. So today we are excited to introduce Ryan Hanson, owner of True Plumbing, a plumbing company based here in Atlanta. So Ryan, welcome to Swivl Sessions. It's great to have you here. How are things in Atlanta?
Great to be here, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. Things are great. We're actually, I got a lot to share. Hopefully I'll try to condense it into the time we have, but things are wonderful.
Talk as long as you want.
Yeah, we're actually approaching we had our biggest month ever last month in over 10 years in revenue. And then our
nice.
Just about to close out this month, and we're potentially going to beat that again. So our marketing efforts are really paying off, and our team is just so wonderful. So happy to report that.
To ask, how did you get that phone number for your business? That's amazing.
It's a really good story. Well, not much to it, to be honest. There's a website called numberbarn.com where you can buy vanity phone numbers. It's kind of like the biggest place to do that. And we basically started putting together our whole new marketing kind of mid last year. And my sister's actually brilliant, and she got involved, and now she's part of the company, and she found this number. There's a couple companies that own 678 Plumber and 404 Plumber, but the number is actually turning out to be, as you can imagine, a really big
huge
for us. And it wasn't as expensive as you would have thought. So I was shocked. It's a gift. I've had a lot of gifts along the way. And that's
Nice
why.
work, sis.
I love that.
Yeah. So credit to you,
Sometimes
Tori.
a little luck helps.
What's her
Tori-
name?
Her name's Tori Press, and
Nice, Tori.
yeah,
Plug.
she's doing an amazing job. So shout out to her.
That's cool. Well, hey, so okay, let's hear the backstory before you started the business. You know, we always like to know what guys and gals were doing before they became an entrepreneur. So give us a little bit of your background and how you got involved with this.
Yeah, no doubt. I was really handy as a kid, but I was told to go into the white collar world, and I went to college. I went to University of Georgia, go Dogs. I was a marketing major there. My now business partner Paul, shout out to Paul. He's amazing. He's more in our operations day to day. He was a finance major at Georgia, and he joined me about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago. So I have a college background, but I don't know. Most of the stuff I've done since starting the business, since getting into plumbing, has been more intuitive, and I read books and kind of like if I'm curious about something, I'll delve into it more. So definitely a self-starter kind of thing. Anyway, I goofed off a lot in my 20s. I was a ski bum for like 4 or 5 years, and I traveled and I was a tour guide and just had a lot of fun. But anyway, I just kind of made this. I met someone who introduced me to the trades. Shout out to Bruce Ackley. He was like my number one mentor in life, really amazing person. And he really helped me kind of explore the world of the trades. And we were sitting at a Waffle House one day, and he kind of went over the basic economics of plumbing. And he said, it's one of those industries where you have a lot of people kind of aging out of the trades, and there's a slow process to get more plumbers because it requires a lot of training. And at the time, I didn't understand that. I thought like you could learn plumbing in a few months and become a tradesperson, coming from the white collar background. So anyway, I found out it was more of a process. It takes 3 years as an apprentice to get a journeyman license, then 2 more years after that to get a master plumbing license. And but I made my decision right there at Waffle House that day. I was like, man, if this is an industry where a lot of people are getting out of it, that means like your supply and demand is very upset right now. And so any young people wanting to get in the trades that's what we preach is there's just so much opportunity. And if you can pick up a shovel and get to work every day and just live a clean life, like you can make more money than a doctor, and it's fantastic, but it is hard work. That's the caveat. And you're really only going to succeed at it if you love fixing things and helping people and doing all that stuff. So anyway, yeah, so I became an apprentice. I had like $5,000 to my name at the time. I was driving a $2,000 Buick, and I just went to work for $13 an hour as an apprentice, and just started learning, drinking through the fire hose, and just really just every day, just one thing at a time. And I learned really fast. I was very obsessed with like learning the trades quickly because it's hands-on and it's really fun for me to learn that way. So yeah, within a few years, I always went into it knowing I wanted a business because I've always been entrepreneurial. So that I took for granted at the time, but it's something that's very easy to parlay into your own operation if you want to, if you work hard. And so I struck out on my own. I was still driving the Buick, putting all my money towards food and a little bit of rent, and just started spreading the word that I do plumbing, and one toilet, one water heater, one drain line at a time. Just kind of got the word out, and it was all word of mouth. I think people kind of like bought into my passion for the trades, and they were just like, "Oh my God, like you have to trust this guy. He seems honest." And it's funny how that just takes care of everything. You can make a lot of mistakes, and as long as you admit your mistakes and correct them and like take ownership. Yeah, it's massive. And it's just funny how a lot of people don't do that. And so that's part of our core values now as a company. We really believe in just sticking with it. And that's really all people want. They just want to know you're going to be there till the end, and they can trust you like a friend or a family member. And so anyways, yeah, just started that. I graduated to a forerunner eventually once I had the money.
They go forever.
What's that? I know.
They go forever.
Huge forerunner person right here. And then I got my first like work van, and I hired my first apprentice. Shout out to Edwin White. Still
Edwin.
And he'll want to see this as well. But I taught him the trades. So that kind of got me thinking like, hey, this is something that there's more to it than money. You got to pay it forward to to the people that are interested in making another career. So he was a janitor he was doing like maintenance and janitorial work at a church for one of my customers at the time. He joined me. I was like, oh my God, I have my first employee, which is from a very young entrepreneur's mind is like, wow, this is there's a lot of responsibility. I'm responsible for someone. So he drove
Big
around
step
with me. Yeah, it was
for
great.
sure.
And once again, no real background, just trying to do the right thing all the time. And I think the good luck follows the people who try to do the right thing all the time. And so Edwin joined me, then slowly started I made a few other hires, got Edwin out in the truck on his own. So I hit that kind of, it was me doing work and then Edwin out there, and we had 2 trucks on the road, and then it became 3 trucks, and then hired an office manager, and it just kind of snowballed. I think you just have to there's people talk about business plans, but there's really not. You can plan all you want, but the biggest skill I think in the entrepreneurial world is to be able to problem solve and wake up that day and say, here's what I got to do, and think ahead to how you're going to move on to the next step. So anyway, now we have, fast forward to now, we have Paul, who's my business partner. He's mainly in the operations. He does a great job at building a team and running the day-to-day and creating a really collaborative, cohesive environment for us. Kim's our office manager. Morgan's in the office as well, answering phones. Cody's in the warehouse. We just have and then our plumbers are just a phenomenal team who it's taken us years to really you definitely make some tough hires and run into some tough situations, but really the hiring and the promoting really healthy, a good work environment that's probably been the biggest challenge we've been through. Really understanding how to
hire the right people, or how to.
Well, I blame myself. If someone's having a bad experience at the company of an employee, then all we can do is look at ourselves and say, well, what did we do wrong? And how do we make that better? Because it's all about the people, whether it's our customers or employees, or our other third parties, our professional services or our suppliers, but more so the customers and employees are everything. Plumbing is important, but people are obviously where it all happens. So yeah, just getting more fine-tuned in the world of management and collaboration. And once again, Paul really brought that in. I'm more of a lone wolf myself. I like to work on my own, and I'll go to town on working very hard in the field. But Paul, I really credit him for bringing that managerial side to the business. That's really allowed us to move forwards. So yeah, that's a little. Yeah, now we have. I think today we have 9 vans on the road. We bought our jetter a few years ago, which has allowed us to get more into sewer and drain work. We do a lot. We cover a lot of ground for the size we are, and yeah, so it's been a ride.
I've seen your trucks. I think you're doing a great job. And 9 trucks is pretty impressive, and they look good too. I don't know how you keep it so clean. I couldn't get my guys to wash their damn trucks.
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
Yeah, we're still working on that. As you know, I'll talk to you more about Talon another time because I am curious about that too. But no, it's more about I could speak real quick on our core values, which is kind of our operating system. Our mission statement is to be Atlanta's most trusted service plumber. Very simple. And our core values is, like I say, it's our operating system, just like a computer. You have a set of algorithms that kind of controls everything. Our number 1 is accountability. So anything you do, you take ownership of it. If it's good, you own it and you can deserve the praise for it. If it's bad, then you figure out how to make it right again. It's pretty simple. Another one is lasting relationships. So we don't want our customers to use us one time. And I tell customers this all the time, we want you for the long haul. We don't have a membership program yet. That's something we need to do, like a subscription and a yearly inspection kind of thing. But I think we have really good customer retention because we just are very honest about telling them we're not here to make a quick buck, because that's rampant in this industry. We want to have you for the long haul. We want you to want to call us again. That's really the key indicator of a successful service call. So we try to track those metrics. It's a little hard to do that, but over time you get to see, I think our current existing customer ratio is like 60 or 70% of all of our calls, which is huge considering we're growing. It means like we've taken all these really good customers along with us. And on that note, yeah. And I thank you. And on that note, I'll say like, we want good customers. We want, if people ask me what demographics are you targeting? I'm like, I don't know. Well, I do know, but like the ultimate thing I like to say is we want people that are proud of their homes and they're happy and they want to get good service. We don't want, people that are just looking for the dirty like worker type plumber to just get the job done for cheap. Like that's not our show. So we want someone who wants value and, cleanliness.
You want the relationship.
Yeah, exactly. So that's lasting relationships. We also pride ourselves on clear communication. So that's core value number 3 out of 5. Everything I feel like hinges on this ability to clearly state like what we're doing and clearly hear from the customer what they need and want. And, without that dialogue, you don't just go to someone's house and they tell you, oh, fix the pipe, and you say, here, it's going to be $500, and it ends up, then there's all this misunderstanding, right? So clear communication is really important. Another one is generosity, and not just with like money or parts. It's like I feel that way about our time. Like if someone's in need, like spend the extra time. Our time is very valuable, and so it's important to be generous. Frankly, with what you guys are doing here, offering to let me have the stage for a second is really cool. But yeah, generosity goes a long way, and it also gets reciprocated. That's another big one for us. So if we're out on a job and someone's unhappy, or you can tell, we try not to go and like start changing light bulbs or doing anything other than plumbing.
Right.
But like
Trash.
yeah. Hey, can you take out the trash, by the way? No, but we will haul away all of our trash. And we leave places cleaner than we found them. But so yeah, just if something is going on, it's more of like an emotional generosity. Hey, I know you're human, I'm human. Let's, if there's something tough about this situation, let's handle it. And the other one is growth mindset, especially as we're a newer company. We've got a lot of talent coming up that's being trained in the field by us. So I mean, honestly, not to credit myself, but like I feel like that's been, if I look back, like that's been my only, I'm a completely different guy than I was when I started the company. I was, just running around like a crazy man before, and now I still got a long way to go, but it's like you got to be able to look at yourself and say, what did I do wrong today? How can I make it better? So that is, so in a nutshell, that's our operating system: accountability, lasting relationships, clear communication, generosity, and growth mindset. And so I tell the guys, like, I don't tell them, they agree that like when we're out there in the field, like these are the things that kind of at any point you can sit there and reflect and say, well, what's the problem? What do I really need to do to get this done? And it's not always about like the technical stuff. It's about, just slowing down, being patient, realizing there's an easier way through it. So I tend to get a little philosophical and deep on things.
Perfect.
But yeah, I enjoy that. So
Means you're human.
yeah, no doubt. But when we're working, I also like to think we're kind of like a soldier out there. We're sacrificing our body for that result. And so I've been on a lot of jobs where it's just, remember the hottest day of summer, you're out there, and I remember sticking my head down a hole. Gary was there. Gary's our longest standing employee. I hired a while ago, and he was with me through COVID and things like that. And that was a weird time. But anyway, we were out there and just doing really hard things all the time, and it just takes a lot of grit to do that. Anyway, kind of got off track.
It's amazing how much COVID comes up.
Yeah,
Trades.
It was a weird time.
yeah.
Hey, let me. Typically we have a pseudo script that we stick to, but we're already off that. You've talked about kind of your background and
No, it's perfect.
how you started it, but going back to like how you you touch on philosophy when you're doing things, and you mentioned something earlier. I'm curious, and I made a note. You said this is early on. You said that you've had a lot of gifts along the way. What did you mean by that?
Man, thank you for asking that. I just mean, I don't credit, I've been kind of the founder and the visionary, but like it's kind of like along the way you just get things kind of fall out of the sky in your lap. I feel like, where I mean, I have a lot of gratitude for my life and everything around me and stuff. And like I said, I mean, my friend Paul joining the company he joined. It was actually during the economic disruption of COVID, and he's a very experienced entrepreneur. And he came to me and wanted to be a part of this, and he trusted me to, you know, we made a deal, and but he came to me. I wasn't really looking. I knew I was like, I wanted to grow. I didn't really know how. But that was a gift. So I'm happy to call it that.
I see a common thread throughout this short conversation so far, but you said something else that I think ties into it, where you said that good luck follows people who do the right thing all the time. And I think that is 1000% true. So, I mean, I'm assuming you're saying that maybe you credit some of the good things that happened to you because you're doing the right thing. You talk about kind of a dedication to honesty and being the most, what did you say, that most honest plumbing, what was the number one thing you were saying?
Yeah, our mission is to be the most trusted plumbing
Trusted plumbing
service
company,
plumbing company in Atlanta.
which you can't do that without being honest, right?
Yeah, and I don't mean to tout on that. One of my favorite entrepreneurs says, his name's Naval Ravikant. You know him? He's awesome if you ever check him out. But he says that someone who talks about their values a lot sometimes means they're actually not those things. So I don't want to sound like I'm perfect. I definitely have made a ton of mistakes. I've not been perfect at all. But I just think overall, like I say, the operating system around the decisions has been just allowed everything to kind of progress. I certainly don't mean to say I'm perfect or anyone's perfect at all.
Like what I'm hearing. I mean, I know you're talking about how your focus is on people, whether it's customers and employees, and you kind of can't have that focus. I mean, you're a marketing guy, right? So most of the time we focus on customers, customer lifetime value, et cetera, which is true. But if you focus on your employees, and this is what I'm hearing, that's how you grow a business, especially in the trades. I mean, if you're focusing your time on, or being generous, like you're suggesting, with your time on building tradesmen, that's a great recipe for your fifth value of having that growth mindset, right?
Yeah. We like I say, we're not perfect. We
No
actually
one is.
we've been talking a lot about like putting in a better training program with our guys.
Right.
But ultimately, I think the undercurrent of everything is that we do care. We're here. My cell phone's on all the time. I'm not, our office is not somewhere you walk in and you say, oh my gosh, this is like the best. It's not like Chick-fil-A where they just curate everything perfectly. And what a role model to follow.
My
But I
pleasure.
think ultimately it's like, hey, if someone's in a jam, like we're going to go out and help them out. I think that's really what matters. A lot of companies are like,
Great.
very much like you're on your own, and we do want the guys to be independent and once again accountability, but ultimately, like, I think they know we got their back. So yeah, that's important.
All right. So let me ask you about expectations, and this is always kind of my favorite question to ask in this podcast. But before you jumped into business for yourself, then you thought you had an idea of what it would be like, and a lot of times those expectations are met or not met. So what's your experience with your expectations from before you started to afterwards, and maybe even along the way?
That's a great question. Obviously, I didn't expect it to be such a, I'm sort of a perfectionist, although you wouldn't know it, but I am constantly looking at like all the problems with things. And I'm like, God, how could that be better? But the business is like never going to be like 100%, just like everything. But yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I didn't even think about it. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go for it.
It's kind of smart.
At any time you can pivot, you can change. Um, now we have so much inertia, from a business standpoint, like opportunity cost standpoint, I'd be a fool to invest my time and money in anything else. It's just a very, very good thing. And now with the people, it's like, it's a no brainer. We're going to be around as long as we possibly can, unless there's some kind of crazy industry upset or economic upset that wipes us out. But like, now I'm more of like I am falling into the more of the business shoes, and I'm more, if I had to really say my ultimate, what I am to the company now is like, I'm an investor. It's been all my money I've put in it. We haven't taken out any loans, everything we own outright. And I don't know if I should say that on air. Maybe we can delete.
No, it's fine. Organic.
But yeah, totally organic. All my capital invested. Now Paul is contributing to that, but it's about like business now, and good business, in my opinion. You can have good and bad businesses. We could touch on that for a second, but like people look at like someone who's got $100 million and say, "Wow, that's amazing. They're rich. They must have a great company." And I look at that and say, "Well, I don't know. There's good and bad businesses out there. There's ones that don't have good cash flow. They operate on heavy debt. They're in a high risk environment. They're taking chances all the time. I'm more of like the Warren Buffett and sorry if I'm getting off track. I know this is
No, it's
not plumbing anymore. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger are some more of my favorite entrepreneurs, and they just preach about just having a business that's steady. You have good price power. There's not a lot of change. If you look at plumbing, it's just there's a lot of hype about new products or water heaters, but it's all the same stuff. We're going out to water flows downhill. It's simple stuff, and it's so necessary that anyway, it all leads me to be like, now it's about capital allocation and strategic decisions in the company. And right now, like, marketing is it's been our like biggest problem to figure out. Like, we never want to neglect any of the departments in the company, but like marketing is essentially, as you guys know, and I'd love to talk to y'all more about your thoughts on marketing, especially with Talon, but it's like, if you can figure out marketing like in a calculated, systematic way, like, you've essentially unlocked the code to your rocket ship.
how's
And
the phone gonna ring?
there you go. Or these days, it's like people are finding us in really strange ways. Like, I think there is like this brand awareness, like your kind of spray gun mentality versus like your sniper rifle, which is like Google ads and things like that. But it really is. It's a huge puzzle. And what's sad is it kind of takes me away from the trade. But I care about the business, as a whole. And I know that my guys are happier if the phone is ringing with really good calls and we can get to more good customers. So got a little off track there again.
No, that's the way it is.
So let me cut to kind of current state. I'm assuming your customer base is 100% residential.
So no, we're actually starting to get more commercial calls. One thing, we don't like to work over like a fourth story. I kind of made that decision to not go over the fourth floor in any building because of the risk of flooding. And then you have like parking and security and stuff with like high rises that we just don't want to do. And we have the choice to do that. So we stay out of that kind of work. But we love like retail, restaurants, recurring jetting services for draining lines that are greasy. Yeah. So our commercial, we're probably doing really only like 5 to 10% commercial work now.
All right. And then your best month was this past month. Can I ask, what was the revenues for last year and what do you expect them to be this year then?
Yeah. So we've been plateaued. The reason this marketing thing comes up is we've been plateaued right around like the $3 million mark in revenue for a couple of years now. And that was after like a steady growth from like me on my own doing a little under $1 million a year. And then Paul joined, and it's been 4 years. And so we've steadily grown to this like 3 to 3.1. Last, I think 2023 and 2024 were both around 3.1. And this year, our goal is we just want like a steady, like maybe 10% growth, hopefully compounding if possible. But something like that. We're not trying to like blow it out of the water. My thing is like, you got to have quality. Never just go like, just, scorched earth because you're trying to get to more customers and bill more. Like, that's not stable to me. I like, because also it's about the respect from our plumbers. Like, we want to be doing business in the right way. So overall, that's our strategy, is like slow, stable growth, keep an emphasis on quality and communication. And this year we're I hope we can touch on maybe 3.5, which would be a, pretty solid leap. Cause I think I've started reading some books about like, that this is kind of a standard. Maybe you guys have an opinion on that, but the size we're at, this like $3 million mark, it's kind of hard to like make the jump and start like growing more from that. It takes like pretty heavy investment and marketing strategies. But yeah, this last month we did 325,000 in revenue, which at
Nice.
that pace, what is that? That would be
More than three and a half. That's
yeah. We'll
3.25,
say,
you're
I
hitting
don't
up,
know.
over 4.
Times 12.
I
Yeah.
don't even like, I know that our business is healthy, cash flow is good. So I don't even care about the numbers all that much. They're just a scoreboard. So, but yeah, I think that's where we're headed, and you just never know. I don't want to jinx it. I'm also very focused on, like, they say the point of business is just to stay in the game. Like, so I don't want to, I'm more focused on, like, I don't want anyone getting hurt. I don't want somebody getting in a car wreck and we have a lawsuit. I don't
It's
want to
like
burn.
talking about a no-hitter.
That's
Yeah,
inevitable, by the
exactly.
way.
So yeah, that's where my head's at.
Ryan, I know you said that you've got a group that you always defer the technical side of questions to. But I was just curious. Obviously, we're a tech company and we love to find out what other companies use from a tools perspective. And I was curious what True Plumbing has that helps them keep track with their customers or their tasks.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. Right now, it's expensive. It's kind of as you guys know, they're the behemoth in the industry, and we kind of eventually got there.
Well aware.
Yeah, and we definitely are still, like, I like to have a strong, and especially with all this AI talk and technology changing so quickly, it's getting weird, and we're trying to plan ahead, look forward. But like I said, one of our biggest problems is, like, just getting good data, good metrics on our marketing. We can do a lot of that in house. It's still, as you guys know, like, Swivl will consolidate this into one platform. All these little problems you deal with throughout the day, it gets compiled, and so the data lives in one place, which is fantastic.
I would argue that's how you get to know what adds value, is by doing it. So if you're
Yeah,
outsourcing the entire function to one tool, I think
that's a good
it
point.
yeah.
They're another kind of startup, and they're kind of customizing the way they're allowing us to dissect the marketing data. But Paul could speak about that a little more. But I think it's really interesting. Paul's, like, having them break down, like, once again, the marketing data it's so hard to understand, and Google keeps it kind of cryptic from us. But yeah, that stuff all has to live somewhere.
So, all right, Ryan, so let's go into the future. What are True Plumbing's goals for the next year, 5, 10, and then what is, like, an exit strategy for you?
Yeah, like I said, steady growth, don't mess up is a good strategy.
That's what I tell my
want
kids.
clean safety record. I really mean that. Like, and we need to do more to make sure we're training properly. But, like, we don't want any accidents.
Mhm.
We want people to be happy, because everything else stems from that. We want to attract, I believe in the law of attraction. If people are having a decent time at work, they're going to stay. And if customers are having a good experience, they're going to keep coming back. And it really is that simple. Until you factor in all the marketing, of course. But yeah, so 10% growth. That means, like, adding another truck or two every year, somewhere in there. And we don't really have, I would like to add HVAC, because you get to a certain size and you start looking at it, but operationally, that's a whole other monster to take on. We'd have to find the right person to kind of own that
Yeah.
department of the company. Paul and I have talked, and we have a little bit of a plan, but it's more about, once again, the people, finding the right person with the right incentives to want to do that for True Plumbing. And what they would get from us is, like, being a part of the organization, and obviously starting off with over 10,000 customers that we can start doing that for. So adding HVAC and electrical is on the radar, but we're still trying to figure out this marketing and smooth out the operations a little bit, and have our team get a little more experience. We're not as in the trenches as far as, so that could go out a long time. I'm really happy with everything. I'm not trying to be, it's not, I don't know what people generally say, but I don't have any, like, specific monetary goals. It's more about, like, the health of the business, and potentially just adding new services to just capitalize on the people that already know us. And it's beneficial for them to have one person to call for all these services. So that's a big thing. And as far as exit strategy goes, like I said, if I really have to back away from the business and look at, like, what it is now for me and my livelihood and stuff, I would say it's more about, like, I don't want to sell the company, because where else am I going to get an ROI like I can get here? And where else am I going to know an industry this well that I can strategically grow? I mean, I can't, everyone's got their own priorities, but, like, I can't see myself really finding something that can give the return that this can. But you never know. It's a lot of it's a lot of work, and it's like I say, it's high risk. If something happens that took us out, all of a sudden my wealth built in the company could be gone. So I don't take that lightly. I lose sleep over it sometimes, but yeah, we want to stay in business. And I guess one more comment on that is like with AI and like Amazon and all these other companies that can potentially do what we do, it's a little nerve wracking because I guess I would want to exit or pivot if for some reason, like I always talk about Uber and what they did to the cab driving service. If something like that happened to plumbing, where all of a sudden my guys can go somewhere, and I have open conversations with them about this. I'm like, I tell them like, if we want you to be happy. If you're not happy here, please like look elsewhere. And if you get a better offer, we can talk about it. But ultimately, they're doing plumbing every day, and they're going to want to be at the best home. But like, I guess with like the Uber comparison is, if something like that were to come through here and make it very hard for the smaller businesses to retain the workforce, that'd be a reason to pivot. But that's more like these big technological changes. We've got a lot of things on the horizon that I think about that I find fascinating, and AI is serious. I really think that's changing. It's happening faster than I think people realize. I don't think it's bad, but it's definitely going to cause an upset. So could be a reason to make a change, but I don't see that happening.
I mean, I would say that would like the last place that's going to throw on its head is the trades. I mean, robotics with AI, sure, maybe you can throw something down a trench to fix a pipe, but I think that's just another tool for us to build companies with, right?
Well, what I'm talking about is not that plumbing itself. Like I can always go out and do plumbing. I'm a master plumber and I love the work. But as far as the business goes, we're an employer of plumbers. And what I'm saying is just like Uber, I didn't
Gig
clarify
economy
that
of, yeah.
If there was some big like platform change where all of a sudden, if you're a plumber, you could go work for Amazon because they created some better work environment or some kind of franchise where you can go work for yourself and you have all the resources. Because what I give to my plumbers is we give them support, we give them tools, insurance,
Right.
all the benefits. So that's what I'm saying. If there was like some crazy big overhaul or someone figured that's a multi-billion-dollar world. If someone, and I think that lives in the world of technology. If someone were to change that, anyway, I know I'm getting pretty out there, but like,
No,
No,
I hear what you're
that's
saying.
an honest thing.
I
yeah,
just
I
think
don't
that
think it's like too crazy to think about.
I think the barrier to disruption, though, is that master's license, and you have to have it by law, right? So, I mean, there could be anyone can, not anyone, but if you're 16 or above, you can drive a car, and I don't know if you have to be 16 or above to work for Uber, but like that barrier to entry there is low, right?
Yeah.
So, like Amazon, no matter what the platform is of marketing, I don't think they could create a gig economy to have someone come out and fix a pipe because it's illegal unless you have 7 years of training, right?
Yeah, but I just think that like I totally agree. That's a good, what's that?
And pass the test. Sorry.
Yeah, no, the license and the skill itself is the barrier, of course. I totally agree. Yeah, yeah.
I think this is the last place in the world that the major disruptions are going to be. I mean, a lot of jobs are going to go out of the way, I think, with AI, but cranking wrenches and unstopping toilets, that's a ways down. I think I'll speak for all of us here that we've totally enjoyed this conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
As you talked about risk and hard work, and obviously that's paying off, and I think it's going to continue to pay off, and your story is really inspiring. So is there something that if you were talking to, say, a group of kids looking to jump into their own business, maybe plumbing, maybe something else, is there some final advice that you would give them? I mean, your story's great. You're a success. You're a successful entrepreneur. What kind of advice would you give someone looking to jump off and start their own business?
I'd say the biggest thing that comes to mind is analysis paralysis. You know what I'm saying? Like just be able to get up every day and like go. Like I'm not saying like recklessly jump in, but like just do just move forward. Go read Jocko Willink or what's the other guy's name?
Jocko's the seal.
Yeah. Jocko, like, all those people, like all their formula is just go, like do hard stuff. Like, go do the hard stuff. Like, it's not rocket science. You don't have to be a brainiac to do this. You just have to like use your judgment, have good judgment, trust in people, be kind. Don't think everyone's out there trying to wrong you. That definitely, I see that too. Like, people are too on guard, and just believe in the fact that like today, a week from now, you could have a whole different life than you do now, just based on like decisions throughout the day. I don't know. That's pretty abstract, but I see that a lot where people just they drag their feet, they make a plan, like, oh, I got to find more money, or, and I'm not hating or anything. And that's good to have your parachute ready. But like, ultimately, like, you got it. The whole thing about entrepreneurship is like believing that like whatever you're investing time, money now is going to like provide something bigger the next day or a month later. That's really it. And be scrappy. Like, just don't be afraid to save money. The money thing's a whole other thing. But I was very like, my dad instilled in me like saving money is important, living below your means is important. I'm very grateful of those lessons because, I understand people see me as a success, but like really like over the years, I've put all my money back into my business. I've had some fun and bought a few things. I don't like sports cars really. I mean, I like them, but I don't really need one, but I like motorcycles. But yeah, I'd say like just being scrappy and knowing it's a grind. Like, people want instant gratification. That's not how it works. That's all shit stuff you see on Instagram. Yeah, we can admire all those like billionaires and these TikTok people that make it big, but it's not what it is. It's not reality. Or it can be reality, but it's like winning lottery can be a reality. I prefer to be in something that's guaranteed. I see it as guaranteed. We're
Tangible.
Tangible, stable industry. The economics are very important too. Like I said, it just makes common sense that you got a lot of older plumbers. Let me touch on that again real quick. You got a lot of older plumbers leaving the industry, yet plumbing is even more and more needed because we got more people. We got more cheaper systems being installed in an emergency.
No, plumber, Edgar.
Well, I know, but
I've used them a couple of times, but don't tell anybody. I think they're actually pretty decent. So yeah, the economics is really important. Any industry you're going to get into, you should look at like the kind of the supply and demand. How high a demand is it, and what is the current supply to that? And plumbing it magically, I was like, this is perfect. So,
in the Waffle House.
That's helpful.
Where all great decisions are made, in the Waffle House.
In the Waffle House.
I love
That's
it.
right. Well, ironically, that's true. That is very true. They're not made at some boardroom or something. They're made when you're
right.
sleeping on a Tuesday night. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I thought of that.
That's right. That's right.
So,
all right. So much for the 30-minute mark. I think we've hit the hour, but that's cool.
That's a good hour though.
Yeah, man.
So having said that, we want to just really thank you, Ryan, for taking the time to speak with us, and the insights that you shared and the stories that you shared really will inspire anyone who's looking to jump ship and start their own business for sure, and really kind of guide them into how to do it the right way. So thank you for coming on and sharing all that.
Well, thanks to you guys. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk more about Swivl as well.
An incredibly enlightening conversation. So huge thank you to Ryan Hanson for sharing those valuable insights and stories. Great to see how much hard work and passion and dedication that you put into True Plumbing, and you really do have an entrepreneurial spirit. And for all of you watching or listening, if you're in the greater Atlanta area and you're in need of some plumbing services, make sure to reach out to True Plumbing. You can find their contact information right here on the screen,
or on his shirt,
and believe me, you're working with a true reliable expert in the field. So once again, Ryan, thank you for being here with us on Swivl Sessions.
Thanks, Ryan.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
And that is a wrap. Thanks for listening or watching. Swivl's field service software is everything you need to run your field service business for free. Till next time, check us out at swivl.tech. That's SWIVL.tech.